Welcome to Track Tally. This is a new series I'm trying to do on my channel where me and most of the time a guest are going to review tracks we've ridden and raced at, rate them in categories, and put them on an official ranking list. If you've ever seen Doug DeMuro's Doug Score from all his videos, it's a similar process. It'll be one overall list with 10 categories. Those categories are going to cover most of the important parts about visiting a track. We'll be rating them based on the last time we were there, which hopefully was pretty recently. We'll start out with local New England tracks that we've had a lot of time on, and then we're going to branch out from there to plenty of other tracks around the country. I think it'll be great content to fill the times between riding, and there's going to be plenty of great tracks we're going to visit on this cross-country road trip we're having later in the year. I'm going to try to be as honest in these categories as I possibly can be, which may seem harsh, and many tracks are not going to get a 10 in most categories. Now, just because your track may not list as high as you'd like to, for the track owners and people who love these tracks, don't be discouraged because it's just a list. You have your own preference, and so do other people. So I'm also going to try to get a better mic throughout the series too, since this one's clearly not doing a great job. Hopefully it's good enough for now, and give me some feedback. And since this is just a pilot, the system of the categories and all that could change if there's enough feedback for it. So just let me know what you think. So the categories being amenities, so what the track has for concession stands and kids tracks and playgrounds and water hookups and all that sort of stuff. Category 2 is parking. So ideally a track would have a great amount of parking and accessible to many people, but sometimes it's either too far away or not the easiest to navigate terrain. So that's another category in itself. Spectating, so how accessible spectating is and how good of spectating you can do. If you can see the whole track, that's great. If you can only see parts of it or nearly none of it, not so great. So making it accessible to everyone makes it a lot easier to rate it good. Category 4 is price. Now price is tricky nowadays with prices climbing everywhere. Prices down south are usually a lot lower than prices up north. So that's another thing to take into account here. Another category is customer service. Now, I know this can vary between people, person to person, so it's not necessarily the track's fault, but if you don't have, the best flaggers or the best people working in the sign-up booth, it makes for a less ideal experience. So you want nice, helpful employees there who are just doing their job, really. 6th category is events. So for this track coming up, they have plenty of events. So that's great to start with. Not every track has them, but maybe they might have one big event. For practice tracks, it's not necessarily about the events, but still, you'd like to see some every once in a while. Category 7 is layout. So if the track is completely flat, that's not great for motocross. You just want to see a layout that is fun and enjoyable for everyone, from 50s to pros. Category 8 is corners, which kind of depend on the dirt conditions and all that, but you want to make sure the corners flow and you want to make sure they're fun to go through, because if you're struggling to go through every corner, what's the fun? And clearly that can depend on the rider, but you get the idea. Category 9, jumps and obstacles. This is where I'm going to have a little bit of personal preference on stuff. I personally love big jumps and rhythms and options. Not everyone does, but you want to see the track has stuff for everyone, tabletops that everyone's safe on, but you do want some other options for riders that can risk a little bit more and get the benefit of it during a race. And the last category, I haven't really come up with a good title for this one, but dirt condition, maintenance, and watering, all tied into one. Maybe it's some great loam and they till it nice and it just ruts up awesome and they take care of it throughout the day. Or it might be a track that's chopped out and whooped and just beat and they might not take care of it. going to rate different. So that's all the categories, so we'll hop right into this one. So our first track of Track Tally is MX207, mainly because I picked this one first because I've been there recently twice for the 2021 main event and the Verb Shred Tour. So those are both pretty recent. I know the track layout still, and those are still kind of fresh in my mind. So 207 was established in 2004, owned by the Stewart family. It's located in Lyman, Maine, which is about 4 hours from me in central Connecticut. So it's a little bit further up for some New Englanders, but it's still well within the travel distance that most of us do for a series or even just to go ride. So their start condition is dirt with a setback doghouse and a medium length start straight. It's a $40 fee for a practice day and $10 to stay overnight. And races depend on prices because certain races require AMA and series to join. My personal thoughts on the track: I like it for the most part. It is a little basic because it is so flat there, and most of their jumps are tabletops. But overall, a lot of people like this track, and they have a great atmosphere there, and they take care of it very well. So some of the pros and cons of this track: there's a lot of sections that are really high speed like this, and they get pretty rutted up and chewed out, which is great, and it's good practice, but it can be a little hairy sometimes. They have a few fun jumps like this one. I love to go whip or attempt to whip. It's a little bit limited, just being tabletops and one small double heading into the back. They host great events like the Maine State Championship, Loretta Lynn's qualifiers, the main event, and even Verb Shred Tour, which clearly originated with Danny Stewart and the whole Verb team. And there's great maintenance and people there running the place. They take really good care of all their riders. So let's hop into the categories. So for Mendy's, I rated them a 7. They have water hookups, they have a kids track, they have lights in the back where they have the pit bike / kids track, but they have porta potties and no official restrooms, which is a little slight to them, but not a big deal since most motocross tracks have that. They have a concession stand and a merchandise stand for t-shirts and hoodies and all that, and they even have a little podium and an announcing tower, so that's pretty cool. So Mendy's I'm going to put at a 7 because it's really good, but there are some tracks out there that some even have a full restaurant there, and some have showers, which help out a lot when you get dirty at any motocross track. Yeah, so pretty good overall amenities. Category 2, parking. It's a toss-up between a 6 and a 7. I'm going to go with 7 though, just because I think it's a little bit better than I first thought, which still, it's on the good side. They have a big parking lot, and it stretches into their back section, which you can see in this photo. It's not a big deal, but if you do have to park out there, it's quite a hike to the track if you don't have a pit bike. Better if they had a porta potty or some amenities closer to the further side of the parking lot, but not a big deal. So category 3, spectating. Spectating I put as a 6 because you can spectate on some parts of the track, but most of the track is flat. Spectating in the center and on about 2/3 of the outside. So some of the track is hidden away. Spectating from the center, you can see about 60% of the track. Right near the spectator jump, you can see most of the infield, and you can see around the finish line to start straight, but you cannot see the fast straightaway in the back or the straightaway coming back from that. I'd rather there be natural trees that they already have and not cut them down to make a field where you can see everything. So it's not a horrible setup, but just not the best. So for price, I put it as a 6. Like I said, nothing's gonna get a 100 in most of these categories unless it's perfect in that section. Price I put as a 6 because it's about normal for New England. Some tracks you can get away with $35, but it's $5 difference. And a lot of tracks down south are much cheaper, so it's hard not to give it some headroom for southern tracks to fit in. above this. Category 5, customer service, I put as a 9 because they are awesome at 207. If you have any questions, they're there to help, and they're just very helpful people all around. Category 6, events. I put events at a 9. Like I mentioned, they have Loretta Lynn's qualifiers there. They have main state championships, the main event, and Verb Shred Tours, along with some other events. And they host multiple organizations there, such as NESC, MCSC, and a few others. So they're overall great with their events. They host big crowds all the time, and it's always fun to be there with those big crowds. And they handle it very well. Category 7 is layout and raceability. It might sound like a broken record here, but I'm going to put another 7 for this category because it's very raceable. Multiple lines almost every corner, which is great. Plenty of passing opportunities. But again, with the layout, it's a little basic because it is such flat terrain. They can only really build up, which is more of a slight at the land than the track and track owners, because they've done a pretty good job. Category 8, corners, I put it as a 6 because, like I said, they have multiple lines in a lot of corners, but as the day progresses, a lot of lines get pushed out. And yeah, you can say that happens at a lot of places, but I feel like it happens a lot here. I mean, just look at all these examples where the line fades way outside. Come on. Sorry for the rain in the background. I was hoping I can get this done before it starts raining. But yeah, corners fade out a little bit. Not much you can really do about that because that's just the way the track forms. Category 9, jumps and obstacles. So this is one of my personal favorite categories. Again, I'm going to put it as a 7. Like I said, they have some really fun tabletops like this one. I love to throw whips on it and just try to do something for the spectators. But again, one small double and pretty much all tabletops, which I think they could get away with at least like a table to bump or maybe double. They used to have a pretty sweet rhythm section that, you know, everyone's seen that video of Jimmy D jumping through it, and that triple behind the starting line. But I understand tracks have to make it pretty safe nowadays. It's a bummer because a lot of faster guys and myself would enjoy if there were more options for those guys that want to risk it more and get the payoff during a race. And the final category, dirt condition / maintenance / watering. Got to figure out a new name for this one. I give them an 8. Picked an 8 because I've only been there a few times when it gets a little bit dry or it's really wet, but they handle it pretty well. I only want to give them a little slight because it gets really rough. But again, that's what you want in motocross. It's a very thin line to walk because you don't want it too rough or people are going to get hurt. But you do want that roughness for training and racing. But overall, with all my categories, 72. Which I think it's a great place to start. It's a great track in New England. And it's very good all around for all families and everyone to go check it out. Personally, on my recommendation, I like it. It's not my favorite track because it's a little bit far and I personally just like different obstacles and conditions, but it's still an awesome track to go to for the weekend. So I think that's a great first episode. Rating 207, which is a staple in New England nowadays. I hope everyone enjoyed this episode. Give me some feedback on it and let me know what you'd like to see in future episodes and if there's anything you'd like me to change. If this is your first time seeing my channel, please like, subscribe, comment. All that stuff helps out. I'm really trying to grow my subscriber base. And like I said, comments always help. Normally I'm going to close out these videos by playing one full lap of the track. If I have a full lap of the track still on my hard drive, I'll throw it in. If it's too bad of quality, I'm going to leave it out. But with that, thanks for checking out this first episode and let me know what you think. Like I said, first time using this mic, just realized if I hold it closer to my face, it works better. So, better audio for next video. you.